speaker for today is Dr. Neeraj Mahar. He has recently completed his doctorate from the Wildlife Institute of India. His research interests have revolved around the distribution and conservation of mountain ungulates, canids, and their adaptations to anthropogenic changes and avifauna of the Trans-Himalayan region. The title of his talk is Movement Patterns and Conservation Issues of Breeding Waterbirds in Ladakh and the Trans-Himalayan region. On to you, Dr. Neeraj.
Hi everyone, I am Neeraj from Wildlife Institute of India, and presently I'm working as a research associate at the institute. And today I'll be talking about bird monitoring in Ladakh using some tools and techniques, including radio telemetry and field observations. I will also discuss some conservation issues of this landscape. For that, I have divided my presentation in two parts, and first part deals with the movement pattern. As we know that the Central Asian flyway is a crucial flyway for different migratory birds, and it is also important in terms of disease outbreaks. Similarly, there are study on black-necked cranes, mostly in China. As you can see that the green polygons denote their breeding range and the red polygons show their wintering range, and different lines denote different different studies in this landscape. And mostly you can see the birds are coming from Central Asia to the lower valleys of Ningxi and Chengdu and Bhutan and Arunachal. In terms of bar-headed goose, several studies have been conducted in different Central Asian countries and Indian subcontinent. One of the studies by Tekawa et al., which confirmed leaf flock migration pattern in bar-headed goose, which has been seen in the passerines in Americas. So based on such vast previous literature and fascination with migration pattern, Wildlife Institute of India and Department of Wildlife Protection came up with a project on movement pattern of breeding water birds like black-necked cranes and bar-headed geese in Ladakh. The main objective of this study was to examine movement pattern of black-necked crane and bar-headed goose in Ladakh, and also to assess population status and breeding productivity of black-necked crane in Changthang. As we know that Ladakh is a trans-Himalayan area and mostly it remains frozen for 4 to 5 months. In this picture, you can see it is Somoruri Lake, which is situated in Changthang Plateau. And it is also a breeding site of different water birds. Up to 15 breeding water birds come to breed in Ladakh, including black-necked crane and bar-headed goose. This area also has different type of rodents and lagomorphs, including vole, pikas, and marmot. Woolly wolf is the top predator of this landscape. Coming to our study species, which is black-necked crane. It is known as Chathumtung Karmo in local language, and it is distributed in 3 countries, mostly in China, India, and Bhutan. And there are some vagrant records from Nepal as well. Globally, their population is less than 10,000 individuals, and recently it has been declared as state bird of Ladakh. Recently, it has also downgraded as near threatened species, which we will discuss later. So to study their migration pattern, we chose Changthang Plateau, where they usually come for breeding during summer season. Changthang Wildlife Sanctuary is comprised of 4,000 square kilometer area, and most of the study sites were above the sea level of 4,000 meter. And we studied 25 wetlands in this region. Being a trans-Himalayan and cold arid region, it receives very less rainfall, and temperature varies from +30 to -40 during summer and winter respectively. There are different type of wetlands, including riverine wetlands, which are mostly formed by Indus and its tributaries, lacustrine wetland like the Pangong Lake, and also the marshes, which are known as pearlstrine wetland. And these are the crucial habitats for black-necked cranes. Coming to the capturing part and analysis. So to study migration pattern, we did deployed noose traps, and we used backpack method to deploy transmitter on the back of birds. The capture procedure was conducted by bird trappers from BNHS, and we used Argos PTT transmitter, which was less than 5% of the total weight of bird. The PTT transmitter emits different type of location classes, in which location class 3 is considered as the most accurate class with the error of 150 meter, while 0 class location gives location with the error of 1000 meters. And it also gives location class of ABZ, which we didn't use for our analysis part. We only use from 3 to 0 classes. For home range estimation, we used MCP and kernel methods, and 50% MCP and kernel was considered as core area used by different waterbirds, and 95% MCP and kernel was used as a total activity area of birds. We used our software, and Ad Habitat HR package was used with some other supporting packages. These are the detail of captured individuals of black-necked crane and bar-headed goose, where we tagged 2 black-necked cranes and 2 bar-headed goose with PTTs, and 2 bar-headed goose were fitted with the neck collar band with a unique number on that. These are the results of telemetry exercise of black-necked crane, where you can see in the first figure, it was captured in Rongo wetland, which is a breeding site of black-necked crane. And the last location was received after 2.5 months from Lal Pahadi area. And during this tenure, the bird mostly used in and around areas of Rongo and Lal Pahadi. And occasionally it went on the eastern side of sanctuary near China border. For another individual, we tagged this individual near Chushul, and we continuously received data for 2 months. And we found this bird using mostly the areas of Pangong and Chushul, especially the marsh habitats. We received different type of data, and total fixes were received for first individual about 131, and for second individual it was 139. The core area was calculated as 0.33 and 0.19 square kilometer for both individual, and per day movement was recorded as about 3 to 4 kilometer per day, and total movement was recorded from 270 to 239 kilometer. For bar-headed goose, for first individual, as you can see, it migrated from its initial position towards the Himachal border, but sadly after few months, after 2.5 months, we didn't get any further location from this individual. For second individual, we just get data for 1 month, and then it defunct. The total movement for first individual was about 1000 kilometer, and for second it was 360 kilometer, where the per day movement was about 10 to 11 kilometer. We also fitted neck bands in 2 individuals of bar-headed goose, which we later recited in Gharana wetland during winter season. Another neckband bar-headed geese, which was tagged by BNHS in Pongdam. We sighted this individual in Somururi Lake with some chicks, and it was on about the month of June or July. So this way we confirmed that we have a resident population or individuals of bar-headed goose in India. To summarize my result, both cranes were tracked till at the end of November 2013 for just 2.5 months, and we couldn't prove either these birds are migratory or not. The kernel core home range for the black-necked crane was akin to the studies in China, which was less than 0.50 square kilometer. The total movement of black-necked crane was recorded from 1,000 to 3,000 meters, 2,000 kilometers in China during their annual migration, whereas in our study, we just recorded 200 to 300 kilometers movement. In terms of bar-headed goose, we confirmed the resident population or individuals in Ladakh, which we did by the confirming reciting of neckband collared birds in Pongdam and Gharana. And bar-headed geese showed a leapfrog migration, just like they visited their nearest wintering site from Ladakh. Coming to the second part of my presentation, which was population status and breeding performance of black-necked crane. Presently, if we talk about the different aspect in Ladakh, then the tourism and the defense installations, presence of defense personnel and dogs is continuously increasing in this landscape. And also the number of black-necked cranes are also increasing over the years. And different studies have highlighted these issues over the years. To study the population and breeding success of black-necked crane, I visited different wetlands within the interval of 15 days between May to October. However, few individuals arrive early in April or March. Adult, subadult, and juvenile category was divided to count waterbirds, especially black-necked crane. And these observations were made from 275 fixed points, different 25 wetlands. And these were the the total count method we used to count birds. For reproductive parameters, we collected information on nest survival, daily survival rate, hatching success, breeding success, and recruitment rate. We didn't find any significant difference in the population between 2 years, and it varies somewhere 44 to 88 individuals, which almost remained same during 2 years of sampling. These are the results of breeding productivity of black-necked crane. 77% nests were found in marsh habitats, followed by the lakes. In 2016, 19 nests were recorded, and overall 14 hatchings were recorded in later phase, and eventually 11 chicks survived. Breeding success for 2016 was 29% and recruitment was 16. And exposure days was 695 for 2016, while nest survival rate was 21%. In 2017, there was a slightly high number of nests, as 21 we recorded, and then hatchings were 18, and 14 chicks survived eventually during 2017, and hatching success was about 43%, while breeding success was 33%. Exposure days were 944, because few pairs tried again for breeding, and they successfully raised their chicks in second attempt. So that's why the exposure days were increased in 2017, and but the nest survival rate was less than 2016. We also tried to find out the causes of breeding failures, and we confirmed that 30 to 40% of the breeding failure was attributed to dogs, because they were predating on chicks and eggs, and few like the 7 to 14% were attributed to floods, especially due to melting of glacier water and snowpack ice. We also did some ad libitum samplings for observations of different type of species. Lagomorph, rodentia, and waterbirds were vulnerable to predation and disturbance in Ladakh, while large group of dogs chased canids like the wolf and equids like the kiang in this landscape on few occasions. So this way, dogs are posing threats to some of the endangered species of this landscape. Initially in 1919, 3 individuals of crane and 1 breeding pair was recorded by the Ludlow. However, 2014 study came up with 120 individuals, but less breeding pairs than present study. Similar to our study, breeding success was reported about 33% in China, and present study confirmed 30 to 40% predation of chicks and eggs by dogs. And increasing dog population is posing threat to the wildlife in this landscape, and also the tourism activities also posing some level of threats to the habitat and the breeding species. In 2020, IUCN committee decided to downgrade IUCN status of black-necked crane to least concern. But after rebuttal from Indian side, they decided to keep it as a near threatened species. And for that, we used our findings and our study. We tried to pursue them to not downgrade the status of black-necked crane. And many NGOs and individuals supported this campaign on their online platform, and they strongly defended the status of black-necked crane in India. So there were some limitations in our study, which I would like to highlight. First of all, the sample size, because we had a very less sample size, so we could not ascertain anything substantial from our study. And another issue which remained very challenging for us was the transmitter performance. Most of these transmitters were active for just maximum for 2 or 3 months. So that also remained a limitation for us. With this, I would like to thank my funding agency, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Department of Wildlife Protection. I would like to thank Nishant for providing this platform. With this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.
Watching that video.
Thanks, Dr. Mahar. That was quite interesting. And I guess it has opened a Pandora box of interest shifting from migratory birds to resident birds and comparisons. But somewhere our listeners are confused about the term fixes. So I will quickly solve them for us before we move on to the question. So fixes actually means something like what you do with your mobile. So you send landmark or your GPS location to somebody. In case of monitoring of birds using telemetry, this is just an automated process that after certain seconds or minutes, a GPS fix is acquired utilizing the satellite transmitter, satellite communication, and it is communicated to us using various ways, which we can discuss towards afternoon. So Nishant has an interesting question for you, Dr. Maher, that what is the procedure for kind of a citizen participation? Not everybody can go into like proper research, but if they locate a bird with a transmitter or if they can like photograph it, what is the procedure? Do you have a system in place for citizen science?
Thank you, Nishant, for this question. Actually, over the years, means when I was working there, at the time there was no awareness as such, and citizen science was also evolving that time. But now I guess there are more birders are going in Ladakh, and the locals are also active. There are small groups have been formed by locals to monitor wildlife and birds. So yeah, now we can use that as a tool to observe wildlife and to means work as a watchdog for the wildlife. And as I mentioned, I guess in my presentation that we also took observations of local pastoralists which were residing around the nesting sites, especially about the fate of a nest. So because they were residing very close to the nest, so they could tell us, okay, what was the actual reason for the breeding failure of individuals. And it happened on many occasions where we utilize their own observations. So this way, citizen science is playing now an active role in Ladakh. Thank you.
Thanks. Nishant and friends, we are very happy to have this kind of encouraging response from you. So our like lead organizers based at NCF, they run a fantastic citizen science program, and we will surely get in like connection with multiple organizations, and we might try and develop something where like multiple citizens can come up, and it should not be like based on institutions. We have more like questions coming up, but Dr. Maher would take them when he is free from the day's talk. So thanks, Dr. Maher, that was fantastic.